Yo, yo. Welcome back, guys. Happy Monday. We're back here on Wolf Bitcoin with another live Bitcoin and crypto market analysis show that we do here every single day, Monday through Thursday. We're working on the Fridays. Fridays are kind of hit and miss, but pretty much every day. And look, if we're not here live on Wolf Bitcoin streaming, we're live on Spaces. And if I'm not live on Spaces with Wolf Bitcoin, I'm sometimes live on my personal page. But pretty much we're bringing content to you guys just about every single day. So we got Goat with the repost, Papa Solstice with the repost. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you fellas. Follow these guys as well, by the way. If you're tuning into the show, both of them are pretty active in the space as well. Go check those guys out. They are part of the crew for sure. But yeah, guys, look, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. It was a fun weekend. Got a lot of stuff to catch up on. So let's jump into some of that. As usual, everything that we're going to cover today is just through an educational lens or entertainment lens. If it's if you learn nothing from it, hopefully you at least get a laugh or helps you pass the time. Maybe you're putting it on while you're driving or working out the gym or doing whatever you're doing. But we're not here to give any kind of financial advice. We're not telling you what you should be buying or selling. Those are decisions that you need to make on your own. You need to always do your own analysis, and if it applies, go consult with a licensed financial advisor before you make any kind of investment decisions. Trading and investing is incredibly risky. You're very you're very likely to lose some money, if not all of your money. So as always, you got to do this. Do your own research and do this at your own risk. But we're here to talk and just report on the market structure of Bitcoin and this crypto market, just to give you guys an update. We're going to read through some of the price action on these charts, go over some of the key levels, and then I like to sometimes give my opinion and my personal take on what I'm looking to do if price goes into certain areas or certain levels. But yeah, that's pretty much what we're here to do. Huge shout out to Public for sponsoring this show. Public is the investing platform if you take investing seriously. They have AI tools that you can use across a range of assets, so stocks, bonds, crypto, options, and you can build some pretty neat strategies. You can utilize this AI to build some automation, some strategies that you can use with your portfolio, whether you're long-term investor, short-term buyer, seller, all that stuff, right? If you're trading, go check them out, public.com/wolf. And huge shout out to them for sponsoring this show. Make sure you guys are supporting the people that support us, the people like Public that support what we're doing here with these streams and overall what's happening with Wolf. So, Cade in the house. What's up, brother? Still watching that game, huh? Japan still 1-0. Still 1-0. Man, I think Goat was talking about the odds being pretty high for like a draw. So maybe a 1-1 is kind of how we end up here. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Let's move into some of these charts, though. Here, I'll go full screen to start off. Guys, if you're coming in, though, if you enjoy this type of content, you enjoy some chart analysis, you enjoy looking at Bitcoin's chart, Ethereum, Solana, occasional altcoin chart requests, stuff like that. All we really ask is make sure you're following Wolf Bitcoin, number one. And then number two is, as you're coming in, give these streams a like, drop a comment, give a repost, engage in the chat if you're able to engage in the chat, whether you're on X or on YouTube. I don't know if the chat on X desktop is still broken, but it used to be broken and you had to use the mobile app to chat or go to YouTube, but both are available. If you're not following Wolf Bitcoin on YouTube, go look up Wolf Bitcoin on YouTube and make sure you're following the account over there as well. A lot of the streams do end up going that way as well. And look, I think it's always a good thing that we kind of build out multiple ways to be able to deliver this content to you guys in case a platform is down on a certain day, right? Something is down. you guys know where to find us and where to tap into the content. So look, with that, let's jump into this BTC chart here. I've got Bitcoin on the 4 hour on the screen. And look, man, this is chop city, chop city. A lot of swings in both directions right now. Like we're really just holding this daily range right now. So you've got the high of yesterday, the low of yesterday. We're kind of just chopping in here between this, and even on the daily chart, everything is really just kind of compressing here inside of this daily range that was basically established by last Thursday's candle. So if you look at last Thursday's candle, you can see that since then, every single daily candle has just been below the high of Thursday, which was 61,962. Let's call it 62K. And everything's been above the low of Thursday, which was 58,115. So we're just going to call it 58K. So 58K to 62K, we're basically just range bound here on BTC at the moment. The question is, which direction is Bitcoin likely to move out towards next, right? Is it likely to go towards this weekly range high, weekly range low? Like what's happening here? We are closer to the lows. A lot of times when I look at ranges like this, I like to think of them as kind of like the first one to speak loses, essentially, right? So if you see price that heads towards the bottom of a range, more often than not, those end up being fake outs and they send price the other way. If you were to see a move to the top side of the range, same thing, right? First one to speak loses. You see the move out. Uh-oh, never mind. You're actually going back the other way. So are we going to see that scenario play out here? Or are we actually, like, if this does go up, do we get an actual breakout of this daily range right now that moves higher above the EMAs? Obviously, there's very likely to be some kind of pullback. This is understood. But do we see that continuation happen like this? Could also be the inverse of that, which is, if this does keep compressing, does it come down and we finally get that breakdown that everyone's been looking for, right? We see a lot of the timeline that's saying, hey, this thing's getting ready to go into the low 50s, 40s, even the 30s, right? So is this likely to play out? I think all of those are possibilities. I mean, the truth is, I don't know. I don't have that answer. I really I focus more on reacting to whatever happens and less so in trying to front run that. So for me, as long as we're stuck in here, we're just range bound. I want to see a move above 62K or a move below 58K to really, lead me to start paying attention a little bit more closely for an opportunity either to long or short. But that's where I am here on this chart. What's up, Jaime? If I can see this X desktop is working for you, perfect, man. That's good to know. Great. Now they're 1-1. There we go. We called it on the stream. Tune in for more World Cup predictions here on stream. I'm just kidding. What's up, Ramson Rich? That's a crazy looking whatever you're wearing there, with the lights there, is pretty wild to look at there. So those are the key levels on Bitcoin here that we need to pay attention to. Obviously, if we go a little bit above that, we do have high of last week, low of last week. So we do have a broader range that, potentially we could see Bitcoin play inside of. But for me, really, I think that this 58 to 62K, until something there gives, then there's really no point in like trying to get too aggressive to either side. I think you play the range. Look, if you're scalping, tons of opportunities to look for shorts around there, longs around here, and just kind of play the outside in game, if you will, right? Outside of the range, play it to the inside of the range. Outside of the range, play it to the inside of the range. So a lot of that, I can see that for the scalpers, for those of you guys playing on the shorter time frame. If you're a swing trader, I think you're waiting for a sweep of lows or a sweep of highs, and then you're looking to play that back into the middle or across the range. And if you're more of a longer term, I think you're really looking for some kind of move to get in for potentially either a significantly higher leg or a significantly lower drop at this point here out of BTC. Anything on the stock market? Yeah, we typically cover mainly Bitcoin and the majors here for the most part. But usually, if we get through that and there's a little bit of time, we do look at some stocks. We'll look at also some like altcoin microcaps type stuff. Um, we will look at like gold, silver, oil, stuff like that. But yeah, we primarily like to lead with looking at Bitcoin, kind of getting that pulse check for the day, and then we'll go through some of the majors and then kind of trickle down. But yeah, that's pretty much my read for BTC, guys. I mean, we are coming up on the close of the month. This will be kind of the last call out here. You know, we're down to 30 hours, a day and 6 hours here remaining on the month. And then keep in mind this month, right, closing out the month, we will be opening up not just a new month, but it will also be the beginning of a new quarter and also the beginning of the second half of the year. So it's a pretty important monthly close and open coming up here for not just for Bitcoin, but really for the entire market. But for Bitcoin, what we need to call out here is that we are currently back above the February low. So the Feb low that established the low of last quarter, the Q1 low, we are currently above that. That was that 60K level that we went down to in Feb. So we are currently above that. You know, clearly there's been a sweep of that level, but we are now back above. So on the monthly, we've not had any kind of closures or acceptance below that. Although on the weekly, we did finally get a weekly close below that Feb low. We're currently back above, so you know we are seeing a little bit of defense being played here by the bulls, but ultimately we did get the first close below 60K at the close of this last week. On the daily chart, you can see the significance of that. I mean, we're essentially just chopping right at that 60K, going below it, going above it, going below it, going above it. You know, just kind of playing right here. So, pretty key area. Let's see what happens here going into the close of this month and the close of the quarter. I do believe that if we close above that last quarter low, I do think it increases the chances of a move higher before lower. Not a move to new all-time highs, not a move even above this current quarter high, but somewhere up in here, somewhere inside the body of this last quarter. So again, I've been kind of saying, I think, you know, 68 is likely to get hit, but I even think a move up to like 72 is possible here for BTC before a rejection to the downside. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. That could look like, you know, if I have to put like a channel on it or something here. Let's see here. What's the best way for me to illustrate this? Like if I have to put something on here to kind of illustrate that a little bit, it would be maybe describing like this volatility range here for BTC. So essentially, if these lows hold, can we get a move back up here to the top of the channel, right? Can you essentially just get a move from the bottom of the channel to the top of the channel in the month of July, you know, going into August, and then August, September resumes downtrending, and then we come back to possibly challenge these lows again, maybe even lower, right? Going into Q4. Could something like this happen? In my opinion, yes. In my opinion, something like this is very possible, especially if we close above that previous quarter low. So keep an eye on this. Again, we could see failure here around 67, 68 again. That would be that midpoint of this channel. But if Bitcoin is strong enough to kind of continue upwards, the top side of the channel does put you up here into the lower to mid 70s or so. And ultimately that nothing really changes here. Ultimately, you're still looking at lower highs and you're still looking at lower lows with the potential setup for even more follow through here on this trend, right? We would still be continuing down. So that pretty much wraps up my thoughts on BTC. Something like this, I'm going to go ahead and save these. I'm just going to hide them just so we can kind of revisit as we start moving this new month a little bit. We'll go in there and we'll kind of take a look at that. But yeah, in the short term, I think, look, there's just a lot of volatility here until something gives. Find your high of the range, find your low of your range. And if you're trading That's where you're going to find opportunities there between the highs and the lows. Ethereum did get a nice little pop. So we are moving away off the lows here on ETH. The biggest call out is that ETH BTC continues defending this zone here. So you can see we have a big gap here in this weekly chart of ETH BTC. That gap has now been fully filled. And again, if we were to see a pop from down here, right, if we see something that puts us back above that Feb low and ultimately starts coming up, near this high here, we could look for a pullback to see if we get a higher low here. And if this is a higher high, we'll definitely be looking for that higher low. Then we'll be looking to play on that pullback to see if ETH maybe gets a little bit of follow through here against Bitcoin. So a lot of work to do. I got to update some of these levels because those are no longer valid. But Ethereum is still below that Feb low. So it is below that last quarter low. Let's see if it can make its way up and reclaim that previous quarter's range. And then we'll see if we'll see what it's looking like once it's back above there. Litecoin still below, not a whole lot happening here. Same general commentary as Ethereum. It's below that last quarter low. Has a lot of work to do. But again, if Litecoin is able to get above that, then it does open up the opportunity for Litecoin to maybe be putting in something like this that flips. It ends up being just a deviation at the bottom there and flips back into that range. Certainly could be the case there for Litecoin. XRP, let's quickly look at XRP. It's going to be similar commentary to the other ones. Below last quarter low. Same thing. If it can reclaim it, do a little bit of work. It's got to get above this high here for me to really start getting interested in this, right? So it's going to have to climb up here, give me either a higher low and then come up and give me a market structure break, or it needs to get an impulsive move, break the high, and then come back and then set that lower high. But right now, XRP is just kind of chopping lower. Let's move on to Solana. Solana's actually looking pretty good. You guys know we took a long entry on Sol on this pullback here. Ended up getting filled at about like 67.5, I believe was that entry there. Solana continues looking good. You're now about to get a break above this swing here. So far this is looking pretty good. If it runs up, same thing. I'd be looking for a potential pullback after a run up for continuation. And then you'd be getting a series of higher lows here. As well as potentially having these higher highs form over here on Solana. So let's see what happens. A rejection here. We do have to be careful though. Rejection here. You do have this nice little vector candle here, as you can see in red. So we do have that red vector. A rejection here could send it back down. So we really want to kind of see some follow through here on Sol, at least to close and get above this this previous high over here. So let's see if we can get that. But Sol's not looking bad to me. Did a lot of work, reclaimed last quarter low, and then defended it here on that pullback and didn't get a daily close below it anymore after that, even though it had some wicks to the downside. So Solana is not looking too bad, guys. Solana is not looking too bad at all. What's up, Scotty? AOKT is a nice stock. We'll have to take a look at that. We'll have to add it to the list for sure. Definitely gonna have to add it to the list. It's good to see you in here though. Let's see here. Make sure I'm not missing anything in the chats. Nah, looks like we're good. Looks like we're good. Good. Cool. All right. You know what? I'm gonna switch up the background tunes a little bit. Something a little faster, a little softer. I got the caffeine leg shakes this morning, man. I'm sitting here, my legs doing that thing where you like bounce the leg, going 1,000 miles an hour. Okay, so that takes care of Solana there. Overall, looking good. I want to see continuation, and then just keep an eye on structure on Sol at this point. Like you're just seeing, you want to see some continuation here within the range. right? So keep kind of chopping up, and then we'll be cautious coming into the POC here. SWE does not look good. Still, let's see here. Yeah, it still has a lot of work to do. So SWE just fell below that last quarter low, rejected from it. So really for SWE, for me to start getting interested again, I need to see a reclaim of that last quarter low. So I need to see this thing chop its way up here. And then if it can do something like that, then maybe we'll look for some upside. I need to update these levels. I don't think these are valid anymore. Just the quarterly levels are good here. So we'll go through, we'll clean up some of this on SWE a little later, and then we'll bring you guys a cleaner chart on the next one. I think those are the big ones that we wanted to cover. Let's go through hype to finish off some of these alts, because I know a lot of you guys do look at hype as well. So the main risk here for hype, and again, we still have time. There's still about 30 hours left for hype, but the risk is on the monthly chart for hype here. This is potentially looking like it might be setting up some kind of reversal. You had a really flat type of top here. It's got a very tiny wick. This current month did sweep the high of last month, and right now it is currently back inside last month's range. So there's some risk, I think, here that even if the new month opens to the upside, we could be seeing the sweep of the current month lows and potentially even last month's low here on hype. So I'm personally looking for a potential short opportunity on hype. I'm not long off of the lows. If I was, I'd be the short would be a hedge at this point. There's really nothing broken yet. If you're long off of these lows, there's really nothing that's saying, hey, you need to immediately get out. This sweep here, I think it's starting to maybe signal a little bit of weakness. It's warning a little bit, but it's nothing. Nothing's really broken here. As long as you're holding above the high here from September, I think this looks okay so far, right? So you're above this zone, which it is defending at this moment. So I think that still looks okay. Let's see here. Again, I think hype probably needs to go higher before it goes lower. So if I was to take a hype short, I want it up here near the highs or even slightly above that. I don't know that I'd be trying to short it here. In my opinion, I think you get at least that day and a half of upside still. And if there is a short, I think it sets up here somewhere. And then we're looking for continuation of the downside. And again, initial target would be about here, about 52, looking for a sweep of this, which again, a sweep of that, potentially could be an opportunity to get long off of here. So if this, if hype does something like this, and then you see it come down here, you may be getting that. Like you may be getting that on hype, right? So we'll be paying attention there. Depending on how it's coming down, though, I would say that there is still a chance you see it come down here into the 40s, low 40s, maybe even high 30s. I wouldn't rule that out. At that point, this would be like a deviation here above that last high. So we'll be watching it. We'll pay attention. Another way to visualize this, just really quickly, is if you connect recent highs to previous highs, you can kind of put a channel on this stuff here. If you want to grab it off of the absolute low, you definitely can here. There is some chop here, but yeah, you're looking for a move back roughly to the middle of this channel. If it does go down there, maybe something like that. So we'll see, but so far holding here, not looking too bad. You guys see anything on those charts that I may have missed there? You think he meant okay TA? Maybe. Okay TA? Is that a joke? I don't know if you're joking there, man. Because that is kind of funny if it isn't a joke. Okay TA. Yeah. All right. So that's it. Let's look at stablecoin dominance really quickly. Stablecoin dominance, man, this chart is this is a strong chart, but it is like this is at an area where if this was a crypto coin, right? If this was a crypto coin, or if this was, I mean, I would even say if this was a stock, if this was a ticker that I was looking to trade, this is not where I'm looking to enter longs. This is definitely not where I'm looking to enter longs. As a matter of fact, anywhere up here is where I'm probably looking for weakness. I'm looking to enter shorts. Anywhere up here, right? I'm not a breakout trader. I'm a reversal type trader, right? I like to look for moves to extremes and then a reversal back for like a mean reversion. So for me, even though this does look very strong, this is still trending to the upside. This to me is closer to the potential that stablecoin dominance needs to make a move down, consolidate or whatever before continuing, versus like me thinking, oh, I need to get in some kind of breakout trade. It's not the way I trade. So that's just my personal style on it. It's just my perspective. Doesn't mean there may not be a move higher here for stablecoin dominance, but just be aware of that. Like this is trading in a major zone up here. Major zone. Actually, an argument could be made that this is the zone to kind of watch here, like around something like that, that's right where it is right now. It's right in the middle of that. So let's put that up. We'll keep it simple though. If we zoom in on stablecoin dominance, yeah, look, it's starting to roll over a little bit again. So you've had some moves above that last quarter high, that Feb high. We've had a couple moves that have temporarily gone above it, but ultimately, like, you're still kind of chopping at that level, and there's really not enough acceptance on any of these. You don't have enough time or distance away. You have basically zero daylight on the 4 hour, meaning between that line there, that is the high of Feb, and wherever price went, there's really no distance. Like this is daylight. This is daylight. When something breaks above a level, it puts in time and distance, and it creates daylight above that level. There's no daylight here. There's no daylight below any of these breakouts. So for me, they're not breakouts, they're just deviations. Right? They're just deviations. A breakout to me looks like this. Like if these are your highs, right? If these are your highs and you're coming into it and you're going to break out above that, this is what I like to see. This is daylight, right? It puts in distance, puts in time, comes back, gives a pullback, entry opportunity there, right? Like if I was playing this long, this is where I'm looking for the long. I'm looking for the long on the pullback here for that continuation move. Why? Because that's now put in time and distance away from the zone. Like if this is my resistance zone, that's gone. So up here, if this is our resistance zone up here, I mean, you have neither. You don't have time, you don't have distance. You're basically right at it. These are just deviations currently. So just keep that in mind. Although stablecoin dominance on the high time frame is in a strong uptrend, here on the lower time frames and mid time frames, it's still just chopping sideways, and there absolutely is the potential that this thing wants to come back down like this. Absolutely. And if you were to get a move like this on stablecoin dominance, this move down is going to be an absolute ripper to the upside for all the risk on, right? So you'll see Bitcoin, ETH, all the alts, everything will run. Everything will absolutely rip. Let's see here. Company is Okta. Okay, I'll look at it. Oh, my throat, man. Too much talking on a Monday. Way too much talking on a Monday. So yeah, this is looking pretty good. That's coming down. Bitcoin's going higher. Yeah, let's see if Bitcoin here on this little pullback gives a higher low. Like it pulls back, maybe here to these 50% levels, somewhere in here. If it pulls back and stays above that 60K, then it tries to pop back up here above these highs. Might work its way up here to that 50%. That'd be pretty nice of last week, right? That's that 60. That's basically at that 62 level that we're watching to see if it's gonna make it or break it up here. Cool. Cool. Let me check comments on X. Make sure we're good. Check in the chat. Yeah, looks good. Looks good. We're like 30 minutes in. No, we're a little bit more than that. We're almost 40 minutes into the stream here. Again, guys, if you haven't already, and if you came in here and you're watching and you like this type of content, help us out. Give the stream a like and a repost. Help us get this out to more people. If you know someone, if you have a friend, if you have a DM group, if you have a family member, someone that you know is into these markets and they're looking at Bitcoin, they're looking at some of these altcoins, they're interested in looking at these charts pretty regularly, and you think this type of content would be valuable to them, man, sure would appreciate if you shared it out to them and told them, hey, these guys over here, they're doing some stuff. They're doing some stuff, Let them come in and judge it for themselves. You don't got to talk us up. Let us do the work and show them what we're trying to build here. Hold on, let me check on this position that I had open. No, things are looking good. So my current leaning, I'd say from here, I'm probably leaning 70%, 70% to the upside for BTC. Like I've got a 70% bullish lean. Doesn't mean that 30% can't play out, but I've got about a 70% bullish lean at the moment for BTC. So let's see how that plays out for us, huh? Yeah, I'm going to move these stops a little tighter on this trade. Let's move that up. Definitely. Okay. Cool. Yo, what's up, Salty? Good to see you, man. All right, now let's jump into let's go through these real quick. Let's check that oil trade. Hey, look at that. All right. Oil again, guys. We were, when oil was trading up here, we were talking about oil moving back down, filling this gap, essentially coming down to the bottom of the range. I think oil is a buy down here, man. I need to. I haven't positioned yet. I need to probably go do that ASAP. But yeah, and look, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have. It doesn't mean that down here it can't have one more of these. Maybe like another thing like that. Maybe that does something like that before it decides to go higher. It doesn't mean that's not setting up there, but I'd be looking for a mean reversion trade. I think on oil here, if we get a little bit of a bounce off of this, I am looking up here close to the 80s, maybe even 90s for oil here. So we'll see if we get something like that. Is there a channel to be watching on this chart? Let's see here. Yeah, look, funny enough, it's funny how these channels work, these fib channels, right? So I'm doing closes up here, closes pretty close. It's not perfect, right? But pretty much I'm taking the candle closes up there, not the wicks. And then because it's a directional channel to the downside, price is moving down, I'm grabbing the wicks on the bottom. Look at these wicks right here, pretty much, right? So pretty close, pretty clean channel here. But same thing, right? At the bottom of the channel, we're looking for bounces, at least to the midpoint, if not all the way across. Top of the channel, if price were to bounce here, either at the midpoint or the top, we're looking to head short for continuation lower. So if this does come back up, let's say it can make it to the top of the channel. If it comes up here, I'm looking for short opportunities at the top of the channel. And then if it were to come back down, I'm looking for long opportunities at the bottom of the channel. Pretty straightforward. That's how you play these channels generally, is you kind of play them like a range, right? You want to be looking for long opportunities at the bottom of the range, short opportunities at the top of the range. Everyone kind of knows that just from like a principles, like a foundational perspective of how to think about markets. You want to buy. Don't do the sailor. What I'm trying to tell you is don't do the sailor, right? Don't do the buy high, sell low. You realistically, you want to be looking to buy low and sell high. I think we're allowed to say that. That's pretty common sense. It's not really giving you any kind of specific advice as to what to buy and sell. It's just saying, hey, probably makes sense to be looking to buy. If you're going to buy a house, you probably want to buy the house cheaper to sell it for more the other way, and not the other way around. You don't want to buy it for a lot of money and then sell it for little. Same with a car, same with a pair of sneakers, same with a pet rock. Like, that doesn't really matter, guys. It's pretty basic fundamental stuff, right? Okay. So that's oil. Get a little bit of a bounce. Equity markets today. That's a nice little green right there. Gold, same thing, right? Like we talked about, gold coming down here, looking for a bounce. Not a lot has changed for me here. After a sweep of that last quarter low, I am looking for a bounce. This arrow, I think, was done on a higher time frame, which is why it's like stretched out that way. Yeah, but same concept. I think for gold here, I'm looking for a reclaim of that last quarter low, and if that does happen, I think going towards last year's high is an area that we could potentially see there for gold. So essentially, if we see some buyers step in here, we see some nice energy come in here and reclaims about 4,100 or so, then I start looking for a move up to like 45, 4,600 for gold. But ultimately, I do think this thing still corrects further to the downside. But I'm not willing to fade this move here personally, so I will be looking to play that, and then I'll probably take advantage of that short as well there. Silver, similar type of situation on silver. Same thing. If it can reclaim into that last quarter range above the previous quarter low, then I am looking for a move on silver up here into the upper 60s, maybe low 70s. But overall, I do think it's more likely to continue to the downside. When you look at silver on the higher time frames, it's kind of undeniable. It's kind of undeniable that this was a top, same as that top, same as that top, and all of those tops retraced a significant amount of that move. So look, I think at this point, if you look across, you've got a very clean horizontal area here of interest on silver, right? So you've got the high of back in the 80s, high in the late 2000s, like 2011-ish. And if this were to come down and do something like that, would it really look all that different from what it did here, and like, something like that maybe? So, and the channel kind of illustrates as well. You got the midpoint of this channel here. So whether this thing slowly comes down, takes its time to something like that, either way, I'm kind of looking down here for silver, regardless of how long that takes. But yeah, so it doesn't mean it can't get bounces in the short term. Just means overall, I still expect lower for silver over time. Soft commodities are looking a little soft today. Get that? What was that one? Okta? OKTA is the one that you were just saying. You guys know I like to start on like a quarterly or higher. Okay, it's got some energy. It's got some momentum. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Look at that 6 month. Oh yeah, it's moving. She's moving for sure. Looks good. I don't know what it is, but you do have some good momentum coming here above these highs. Hold on, I didn't pay attention to this. Let's go to that 6 month, see if it has. You're above that range. You're coming into this for. Let's go to 12 month. Hold on. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this would kind of be the area where you'd be kind of looking of like, okay, is it either going to get an impulsive move higher that then comes back and flips this into support, or are we just going to reject here, then come back down? On this quarterly move, you're going to have a lot of imbalance to the downside as well. Yeah, so it's not really somewhere where I'd be looking to participate. I'm either going to let this go higher and wait for a pullback, or I'm waiting for this to reject, come back, and then I'll play on a pullback. But I'm right here is not somewhere that I'm personally interested in participating based on this chart at the moment. So same thing here. This move up here is not on high volume at the moment, so it is still you do have Why do I not have a volume indicator down here? Hold on. What is this? There we go. Let's actually move this RSI down and get rid of that. What I wanted to see was this. Yeah, good volume on that, on the sweep move. Yeah, this is what I'd be careful with here. The move that swept this high, right? So basically the impulsive move up that put in the current little blow off top looking thing, it was on high volume. It was definitely on high volume. And you did have big buy going into big sell volume there as well. Right. So big buy going into big sell, just like to the downside. Sometimes you'll get big sell followed by big buy. You're kind of seeing that up here. So, it's not to say that this has to turn around up here, but it could be that this thing is like trying to exhaust out and then probably needs to come down, fill some of this, try to put in higher lows, and then go back for an attempt breakout here. So might be a good one to put on like an alert on. Anything below that wick there, start paying attention. Seeing if it gives it, and if it goes without me again, if this thing were to go without me, and I'm looking for a pullback to participate, I definitely would be interested in that. If hold on here, because of the way you have such clean range high here. If this did go without me, it goes up there, somewhere up here, anywhere up here, and then again, time and distance, right? Like if this thing comes up and it's spending some time up here chopping around or whatever, and then it happens to come back down, 100% I'm looking for opportunity there to play this on a pullback. But it needs to put in that time and distance. I want to see that daylight there for that pullback game. Otherwise, I'm looking for this thing to reject here, come down, and then I'm looking for an opportunity to get picked up on a move lower for potentially that impulsive move that then ultimately could still give the pullback anyways, right? H-lit. Yeah, look, I looked at that one, dude, and I don't have a whole lot to really analyze there, and other than it's just in a big sideways consolidation, and you're like maybe you're arguably flipping some of that to support, but yeah, like I don't know what this is, right? But I know you mentioned it earlier, but I can't remember what you said about it. But you know me. Like anytime you're here near previous highs, especially when it's been just sell off, sell off, sell off, like I am a little bit cautious. At some point, this will go, but same thing. Like I almost would rather this thing went, did something like this, right, or just or even chops up slowly, right? Chops up, chops up, chops up. Give me a nice big pullback to the top of this range that is sold off so many times, and then I'll look to play that for the move after for sure. Yeah, same thing. Clean here. I wouldn't mind that. But here I'm not a buyer here. I just can't. I got too much PTSD. I just cannot. Arrow, says William. What's up, dude? Look, I got it tagged, dude. I got it tagged this time. I got that little green thing so I know which one it is. um Man, KuCoin is look, it's following our plan here, right? It's kind of following our plan. We said this thing was going to come up, hit the TP. We said we were looking for a pullback. Currently is on the pullback. Yeah, I don't know that I'm seeing anything here. Nah, I'm not seeing anything here that's like telling me to get in just yet. I still think it's, this one looks good, but I think it's definitely over weeks and months that it can work its way up to some of those upper targets. Um, I'm still thinking this thing can still correct a little bit more to the downside. Doesn't have to come all the way down here where I was originally looking, but it definitely I think has room to move to the downside there. Let's put up some of these drawings and let's look at it on a quarterly basis. Yeah, so this quarter didn't break above or below last quarter. Interesting wicks to the upside there. Yeah, see, and this is another thing. I don't think we called this out on any of this. So let me clean this up a little bit and then we'll look at it because I think it is worth looking at. Although you had higher highs on the wicks, you actually got lower high on the closes. So a lot of times this is like signaling, it's almost like a fake out, right? It's a bit of like divergence, it's a bit of I think the ICT guys call this stuff like SMT, smart money technique or something. I don't know exactly what it means, but I've seen some of the guys highlight this on charts and they call it SMT. And um I've mainly see them do it when it's like, for example, you get like maybe ES puts in higher highs, but NQ puts in lower highs or something like that, and you get kind of like a divergence between two highly correlated assets. So I would say, like in this case, like if BTC and ETH did that, but I'm wondering if it also applies here where you technically got higher highs on the wicks, right? So your total highs were higher, but your closes were actually lower. So you got higher highs but lower close. Um, but either way, I mean, I would just treat it the same. Look, you've had a big move up, you've got some imbalance here, come down, you're looking for some strength here. Um, we'll see how it's looking on the way down, but that's really all I would kind of call out here. But I thought that was worth mentioning as I was looking at it there. Um, yeah, tight daily range, and here still pretty wide weekly range, so a lot of room. Again, lot of room to the downside if this thing wants to come to the bottom of that weekly range, and it doesn't really break anything. If it came all the way down here, you still would technically have higher highs and you'd still be putting in higher lows. So lot of room to the downside. Let's see what happens here. In my opinion, though, I'm still favoring a move lower for Arrow. In the coming months, yeah, I think it's a longer term play for sure. Yeah, whether you keep buying through the rest of the year, looking for a Q1, Q2 pop, I think that's fine. Makes sense just based on the chart, right? I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm just saying if I'm looking at the chart, clearly on the higher time frames, it is starting to kind of go sideways down here. So I think that there's a potential that this thing just kind of chops down here near the lows. The only thing that is a little bit concerning, um, and there's just not enough data for sure to say, but if I'm looking at this as like potentially, struggling here at previous lows, right? So these are your lows from July and September of 2024, and then last year in 25, even though you had to move lower, like you were trying to hold that low, you got a cascading break here, impulsive reclaim, and then you reclaim that here with volume. So you see the orange candles there. That means that's a 300% volume. So it's a strong statement here, basically saying, hey, we're holding this low. But then you had October 10th wick below. Here you got a little bit of a bounce. So the point I'm making is this level has historically been a support resistance level, or a support level. So the fact that it's kind of struggling with it as much as it is now, I mean, it does say that there needs to be a little bit of caution here, because if this thing is rejecting, if this thing is getting like a double top, like double rejection here, could this thing be getting ready to do something like that? And I can't say that this is impossible or that it won't ever happen. Certainly could be the case. If Arrow can't find the strength to get back above this zone while preserving these lows here and preserving a higher low structure, right? Like if it can't do that, then just based on reading the chart, you'd have to say that, yeah, the likelihood is that this is now a strong resistance, and you're going to come down and possibly test these lows, right? Salty reposted. Yeah, we did cover hype. I would just rewind a little bit on the replay. You should be able to see hype. We'll look at Tau, and then we're going to wrap with that. So Tau is, man, Tau didn't do what we thought it was going to do, huh? This is why I leave the drawings, though, is I like to come back and study these. So you got most of the move. You even had the pullback here to the potential bounce area, and then just no follow through. Absolutely no follow through from Tau. So, look, it's not to say that it can't bounce from down here, but let's now update this a little bit here. I'm going to hide these. These would still be the levels to TP on if it did get a bounce anyways, is at those same levels. So those are still valid. The monthly levels, I think, are no longer accurate because I want to say we did that. Oh, no, that was still. Okay, so that is still last month's high and low. So that is still valid there. All right. Yeah, this thing just isn't looking phenomenal here yet. What does look okay though is that this bigger, broader structure here could be, this could be a flag of sort type deal, that's like consolidating here. So there's an argument to be made that this thing is mainly just going sideways within this channel, right, top to bottom, and at some point you're looking for a break higher. The question is, right, is this the lower or does it come back a little bit more? A lot of sell volume on that right there. Wow. Why? Was there bad news around Tau or what happened here? That is a big on the daily. That's a big sell volume spike here on last Tuesday. Big sell volume. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Yeah. What happened last Tuesday for Tau? That look at this. Someone was dumping. This is on what exchange am I on? Binance. Look at all that selling right there for Tau. A lot of selling right here. And it still went lower after, but the volume is all right here. I wonder how much of this, what's interesting is I haven't done this yet. I'm wondering if the exchanges that are about to be under the new MiCA regulations or whatever's going on with the EU, how there's the new requirements for these exchanges. I wonder if it's on those exchanges that we're seeing people dumping positions and then they're moving over to the regulated exchanges or the ones that are compliant. So I'd be curious, like on Tau, if I go to KuCoin, does it have that same spike? No. Tau didn't have that big spike on KuCoin. Hold on here. It had one back in April, but no, not recently. Okay, so Tau didn't have it on KuCoin. Did it have it on BingX? BingX did. A lot of selling on BingX. Okay. BMX also. MEXC. None on MEXC. Interesting. Okay, none on MEXC. Upbit. And Upbit doesn't have enough info. BitGet. None on BitGet. What's another one we can check? No, those are probably the big ones. OKX. And nothing on OKX, although this is the perpetual chart. But yeah, who knows? Who the heck knows? Let's look at the Binance. So it was a spot. It's all on the spot side. It's not on the perpetual side, and it's on. Yeah, who knows? Who knows what's going on there? But that'd be interesting to explore that and see if there's anything there. So hopefully that at least gave you a little bit there, man. But yeah, again, going into the close of the month, close of the quarter, close the first half of the year, just kind of expecting volatility across the board. And then I think we start typically when you start like a new month or a new week or a new day or a new quarter, you kind of start with a little bit of a manipulation if you will, like what you could call manipulation move, a deviation, a false move, a fake out. So, again, I think there's going to probably be some volatility in the next few days, certainly within this week, where, you kind of see some of that fake out happen before you set the direction for the rest of the month, the rest of the quarter, and the rest of the second half of the year, right? But I think we have the opportunity to at least have a fake out for a couple weeks, up to maybe even a month of a fake out. So if we see that we start the new month and everything is going higher, just be cautious, because that could be the trap. The trap could be that if we're going to start the new month and the new quarter and we head higher, it could be that we're faking out to the top side and then we're going to trend lower for the rest of the year, at least for the rest of the quarter, right? Definitely could see that, but part of the second half of the year as well. So just be careful with that. And then if we saw the opposite, where we move lower first, right, in the next week or two, we go lower, even up to the next month, then at some point, I think that turns around. That ends up being the initial fake out, and then you see the potential reversal here, a few weeks, month, something like that, month and a half. But yeah, guys, look, we're gonna wrap it here. Those are my thoughts. That's everything we wanted to cover today. Appreciate you guys for jumping on as always. Shout out to Public once again for sponsoring this show and sponsoring content from Wolf Bitcoin. Go check them out at public.com/wolf. Shout out to Cade and the rest of the Wolf crew. And yeah, appreciate you guys. Thank you to you guys. Appreciate y'all hanging out and helping us by supporting these shows. So as always, if you haven't like it, comment, repost it, all that good stuff helps us out. These are recorded, so folks that weren't able to be here live can still go back and watch these replays. But with that, guys, have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the day. Enjoy some of these World Cup matches that are coming up. And we'll see you guys around. GG, man. Peace, guys. We'll see you on the next one. We'll be back. We're back tomorrow. Tomorrow's at 4 p.m. Eastern. Today was at 2 p.m. So Monday, Wednesday, if you're new, Monday, Wednesday, 2 p.m. Tuesday, Thursday, 4 p.m. But there's always something coming out of Wolf and Wolf Bitcoin. There's actually a space coming up at 4 p.m. Eastern. So here in about an hour, there's going to be a BTC macro space that'll be on X if you want to tune into that. Otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, with Trader Talk, and then I'll be back here at 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow with more live analysis. All right, guys, take care. See you.